It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
Hey guys, how's it going? It's Friday, November 25th. And this is the Morning Star Drive on 117.8. We're on YouTube, so make sure to subscribe, follow us on SoundCloud, and make sure to support us on Patreon. So what is happening on this fabulous Friday? We've got current news from around the world, the word study of the Wednesday message, and of course, let's testify with Thule from Australia. All right, everyone, how are you doing today? Yes, it is Friday. Friday has officially come. The weekend is here, and I'm sure all of you are getting ready to enjoy another weekend. So let's look forward to some fun, relaxation, realization, new direction through the Sunday message. But let's get things kicked off here together on the Morning Star Drive first. So everyone, keep liking and commenting. I want to just build this community, this platform. Want to hear from you guys, see how you're doing. Post your song requests, questions, stories, whatever it is. I'm looking forward to seeing all of these things too, all right? So it is Friday already, and the weekend has started for me. Just enjoying this week. Really, really cool because I'm able to. There's some people who are listening to the Morning Star Drive. I didn't know that they were coming to Malaysia. Some people came. There's a member from Singapore that's coming, so I'm going to go meet them for lunch. So I'm just really, really happy that I'm able to connect even more with people on the Morning Star Drive also. And we're able to connect through the comments and stuff like that too. So I'm really cool about I'm really, really happy about that. I was watching, I'm getting into this one neuroscientist. The guy studies the brain. His name is Andrew Huberman, okay? This guy's really good. Like, the stuff that he studies, it's really impressive because it's kind of real stats, how the brain works in different types of situations. So here is an interesting thing that he said, okay? So how do you wake up? What's the one thing you should not be doing when you wake up in the morning? Okay? And he says one of the things you shouldn't be doing when you wake up in the morning is stay in bed. Right? So when you wake up and you kind of just lie there in bed, he said that's one of the things you should not be doing. And it was really, really interesting because he said that the way the brain works, standing upright or like sitting upright, as long so your head is upright instead of lying down like a horizontal position. He says that stimulates a part of your brain and is all done through your posture. So that when you recline, you are less alert because this one part of the brain is not really ignited when you are reclining. So he says when you wake up in the morning, one of the worst things you can do is just to stay lying in bed. And he says what makes it even worse is when you're just passively scrolling through your phone on social media and stuff like that too, makes it even worse. So he said, when you have your mornings, what's great for the brain is you need to kind of be upright. And not only do you need to be upright, you need to get some sun, right? And your day must be deliberate, or it has to start deliberate or intentional, right? So deliberate is like, I'm going to make some coffee. Unintentional and not deliberate is while you're making coffee, you're texting and looking at things on your phone. It's not a deliberate, like, focused thing, right? And all you're doing in the morning, when you wake up, is you're just scattering a little bit of work here and there, getting distracted by other things. It says, no, you want to start doing things deliberate. And I think I can notice it even for myself because I went to play sports in the morning right after pre-dawn. I went out to play sports. So I'm out in the sun already, and I come back and I'm a lot more alert and awake than I was before. And it's something that I think it's something that we have to think about also is the moment you wake up, don't reach for your phone and just start scrolling through things, right? Don't lay in bed when you wake up. You've got to be upright, right? And then when you start your morning with the different daily tasks that you have, one of the biggest things you need to do is you need to be deliberate and intentional with the things that you're doing, not being distracted by things like your phone and other things like that. Just make a coffee, focus on the coffee. Right? And if you want to focus really well on coffee, I think one thing that you can do, sorry, by the way, there's construction going on all around me. I don't know why it's happening like for the last 2 days, but there is construction going on, and it's always when I'm recording. There's no sound before this. It's just when I started recording, they started to start drilling and stuff into the walls, which are concrete, so it's really, really bothering me. But I hope it's not bothering you guys. It's much louder on my end than your end. Right? So like I was saying that to do something deliberate like coffee, I would suggest that people learn how to make a pour over. It takes concentration. You need to grind the beans. You need to put them in, and the way that you heat the water, everything else, it has to be very, very intentional. And it takes some skill to do it too, right? So I hope that find something. Wake up in the morning, get upright right away. And the good thing about us is we have pre-dawn, so we're upright anyways. And don't get don't get distracted by other things. But we have to be those people that really go out and make sure that we are deliberate with all the little tasks that we're doing every day. All right. I really, really want to go to the other side of the room where they're constructing, and I want to punch someone. As crazy as that sounds, I just want to punch someone right now. It's so annoying that they're doing it at this time. They should have done it earlier, right? Way earlier than this. Can you guys hear it? Because it's so loud for me, but I'm sure it's got to be much softer for you because I have a directional mic, but I'm sure you still hear it. Yeah, either way. So, either way. So, also, the poll is, we're getting more and more about the poll, and I think it's quite interesting how this poll is coming out. It's about how transparent is your church about Sunstream's current situation, and numbers are changing constantly. And it's now 72% say it's hard to get updates and it's not talked about to everyone. And 21% says it's not good and it feels like nothing is happening, which means 93% are on the end of not getting really any updates at all. Some people are saying that very few people actually know, and it's usually the people at the top. And when I look at the two more transparent votes, it's like 5% for very open and transparent. And honestly, I'm going to be very honest with you guys. I'm pretty sure those people are all from Australia because they're very, very transparent over there, right? And the 2% says transparent, getting updates every week, but might not be on time. It might not be as detailed, but they are getting updates. But if you look at that, only 7% of the people are saying that it's actually like that. So I think it's something that we have to work on, and it's kind of has to deal with trust, right? And I'm gonna be very transparent about this too. I also understand why they're not as open and transparent about it, because as leaders, it's kind of a scary thing to announce something and then people start shaking and doubting and trembling like, oh no, what's going on with this? Leaders don't want to deal with that also, right? So I understand the other side too, but it's something that I do think we need to work on. We need to get ourselves to understand at a much, much different level also. Okay, so I'm glad we're having this poll here too, and I hope it's something that a lot of you guys are. It's kind of making you guys think a lot more deeper, right? Because these polls are good. Like sometimes I have fun ones, but a lot of these polls, I just want you guys to think a little bit more deeply about the situation that you're in as an individual, and also for your churches, right? And I think we should realize at multiple levels also. Also, Espresso with Sky, yes, roaches in my apartment. That's my next video, and my realization from these roaches in my apartment also. It's pretty funny and gross too, the story, but I hope you guys will enjoy that. But make sure you like and comment, and that will be the two things that will really help and push this algorithm also. All right? So let's get into some music from around the world. And on this relaxing and cool Friday, today's featured artist is Youngse from South Africa. This song, I love this song. I think it's the best one that she's made so far. And she also made an intro to this, so I hope you guys enjoy this. This song has only been out for 1 week, so we played it like a couple times this week already. So this is Youngse from South Africa with I Call You, with an intro, and she's telling you guys why she made this song. And then we'll have Kiro Black and Julius from Australia with Inside My Head. And we'll end things off with Zeniac from the Pick News Associates in Korea with Trans-Neptunian Observation.
Hey everyone, this is Youngse, and I'll attempt to explain what my song I Call You is about. So yeah, the song is really comforting to me. It's an expression of deep shimjong, and it's just the beat is so comforting, but also calling the Lord out of a desperate heart is comforting to me. And the lyrics came from I was going through a hard time. I mean, this year has been quite challenging personally, and so at some point this lyrics came to my mind, like, oh, clenching my jaw, holding my breath, that part, and I don't know how much strength I have left, and that just felt so deeply moving to me. It felt really fitting to my shimjong, and I was in the gym when I got this inspiration. I just recorded myself, and then later on I found this instrumental on YouTube, this MR, and it just felt so shimjonic, and it's so relaxing, and it's so comforting. And then I just recorded myself, and I started singing that beginning part, and I just improvised the rest of the song while recording myself. And then everything just came out, and I just tried to be very sincere, because when I feel like that, like I feel like, oh, something really difficult has happened, or there's a difficult situation or facing a challenge, and I really feel like that, like the deep pain that you can't express, but the Lord understands, and then that becomes my strength, my hope, and like really my go-to is just calling the Lord and then confessing to Him that even though this has happened, like there's just no way that I'm gonna leave you. Like I'll never ever change, and I'll be quite stubborn about this. Like even though whatever may happen, like even if someone hurts me, or no matter what kind of challenging situation happens, like this is what I'll always confess to the Lord. I'll never change, but please be with me. Like I really need your strength. So listening to it gives me strength, and it's comforting, not only the lyrics but the melody as well, and the music. And these days, and while making music, I'm really trying to explore this like vulnerability and the softer sound to really express things that I find relatable and comforting. So I have another few songs coming out, and there's especially another one coming out that also has this vulnerable feeling. So I hope you enjoyed that one as well, and I hope that everyone can take their own thing, their own inspiration from the song, and that it may give you strength and inspire you to call on the Lord no matter what kind of difficulty you face, because He is always listening. Clenching my jaw and holding my breath, I don't know how much strength I have left. Is this the real life, or am I just dreaming? And oh, won't you hold my hand as I am on my knees, praying to you and begging, please, won't you be by my side? There's no way that I'll ever leave you, Lord. There's just no way that I'll ever change, that I'll ever leave your side. Oh, yeah. So again, I call on your name, yeah, Lord. Lord, 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 won't you be by my because you are the love of my life. You are the truth. You are the way. You are the life. Oh, 'cause Lord, you are the name that I call when I feel afraid and lonely. Clenching my jaw and holding my breath, I don't know how much strength I have left, so I call on your name. And oh, when I see the day coming at me and I'm shaking inside of me, I know you're with I just can't live without you. It's true, yeah. Because you are the love of my life. You are the truth. You are the way. You are the life. Oh, 'cause Lord, you are the name that I call when I feel afraid and lonely. I only call you. Yeah.
It's the dawn of the dead. Society's full of zombies and I'm fighting for survival. It's just me and the voice inside my head, that's my rival. It's peaceful in my city, but I think I'm going psycho. An upside down world where people look down to their idols. Yeah, my mind space is like a hellscape, but planet Earth's a crazy place. So stay in my own world between reality or insanity. The lines are blurred, and I don't know what's real anymore, or what's inside my head. All these thoughts that bring me down into the wall inside my head. I'm living in the twilight zone. I'm hyper-connected, but at the same time disconnected. Conflicted in large crowds is when I'm most on my own. Take a peek through the window of my soul. I've kept the fire burning ever since I heard that winter was coming. The coldness of the heart, there's no use running, no escaping. Deep to the bone, it leaves a king shaking in his throne. Yeah, I don't know what's real anymore, or what's inside my head. All these thoughts that bring me down into the wall inside my head. Inside my head, that's my rival. It's peaceful in my city, but I think I'm going psycho. An upside down world where people look down to their idols. Yeah, my mind space is like a hellscape. But planet Earth's a crazy place. So stay in my own world between reality or insanity. The lines are blurred.
And that was Xeniac from the Paper News Associates in Korea with the song Trans-Neptunian Observation. Before that, one of our favorites, Kiro Black and Julius from Australia with Inside My Head. And of course, that first song member, featured artist of the week, that is Youngse from South Africa. That song dropped just 1 week ago, and that is I Call You with a special intro. So hope you guys really, really enjoyed that, all right? So let's get into some news going on around the world. And as brides of this history, we do have a big responsibility to pray for the world. But in order to pray for the world, we need to know what's going on. So what is happening? We're going to start off with China and the China's COVID emergency, I guess. But angry protests at giant iPhone factory in Zhengzhou. Protests have erupted at the world's biggest iPhone factory in the Chinese city of Zhengzhou, according to footage circulated widely online. Videos show hundreds of workers marching, with some confronted by people in hazmat suits and riot police. Those live streaming the protests said workers were beaten by police. Videos also showed clashes. Manufacturer Foxconn said it would work with staff and local government to prevent further violence. In its statement, the firm said some workers had doubts about pay, but that the firm would fulfill pay based on contracts. It also described as patently untrue rumors that new recruits were being asked to share dormitories with workers who were COVID positive. Dormitories were disinfected and checked by local officials before new people moved in, Foxconn said. And last month, rising COVID cases saw the site locked down, prompting some workers to break out and go home. The company then recruited new workers with the promise of generous bonuses. Footage shared on a live streaming site showed workers shouting, defend our rights, and other workers were seen smashing surveillance cameras and windows with sticks. They changed the contracts so that we could not get the subsidy as they had promised. They quarantine us but don't provide food, said one Foxconn worker during his live stream. And then another person said, if they don't address our needs, we will keep fighting. And he also claimed that they have seen a man severely injured after a beating from police. One employee who recently started working at the Zhengzhou plant also told the BBC workers were protesting because Foxconn had changed the contract they promised. And he said some newly recruited workers feared getting COVID from staff who had been there during the earlier outbreak. And those workers who are protesting are wanting to get a subsidy and return home, the staff member said. And there was a heavy police deployment to the plant on Wednesday morning, he said. Other live stream videos also showed crowds of armed police at the site. Another newly recruited employee told the BBC he visited the protest scene on Wednesday, where he saw one man with blood all over his head lying on the ground. Foxconn, a Taiwanese firm, is Apple's main subcontractor, and its Zhengzhou plant assembles more iPhones than anywhere else in the world. In late October, many workers fled the plant amid rising COVID cases and allegations of poor treatment of staff. Their escape was captured on social media as they rode lorries back to their hometowns elsewhere in the central Chinese province. The firm has since enacted so-called closed-loop operations at the plant, keeping it isolated from the wider city of Zhengzhou because of a COVID outbreak there. And earlier this month, Apple said it expected lower shipments of iPhone 14 models because of the disruption to production in Zhengzhou. Also in U.S., another shooting, 7 dead after attack in Virginia Walmart. At least 7 people are dead after a gunman opened fire at a Walmart supermarket in Chesapeake in the U.S. state of Virginia, officials say. A man believed to be the store manager opened fire, then turned the gun on himself and is now dead. The city of Chesapeake earlier tweeted to confirm an active shooter incident with fatalities. Multiple others were injured in the shooting. The attacker's motive remains unclear, but police told reporters that the attack happened at 10:12 local time. Footage appeared online which appeared to show an eyewitness wearing Walmart uniform describing what happened, and he said he had left the staff room, which a manager then entered and opened fire. And then he said, sadly, we lost a few of our associates. The man said, clarifying that he did not know how many of his colleagues were shot. Police spokesperson said the shooting was believed to have happened inside the store and that the suspect acted alone. Walmart said it was shocked at this tragic event and that it was working closely with law enforcement. A further update from police in Chesapeake is expected later on Wednesday morning. Spokesperson for Centara Norfolk General Hospital was quoted by local television stations saying that 5 people were being treated there. Tuesday evening's attack comes just days after a gunman opened fire at an LGBT nightclub in the U.S. state of Colorado, killing 5 people and injuring 17 others. And in 2019, a mass shooting at a Walmart in the city of El Paso in Texas left 23 dead. Last but not least, we'll go over to Jerusalem. In Jerusalem, there is bombings that have happened as teenagers killed in rare twin attacks at bus stops. A teenage boy has been killed and 14 others 14 other people have been wounded in 2 suspected bomb attacks at bus stops in Jerusalem, Israeli police say. The explosions happened at 2 busy areas on the outskirts of the city as people were heading to work. The boy who died was among 12 people wounded by the first blast. 3 others were wounded by the second. Israel's internal security minister said at one scene that this was an attack we haven't seen in a long time, and this year has seen a spat of deadly gun and knife attacks targeting Israelis, triggering waves of Israeli military raids in Palestinian cities in the occupied West Bank. But the use of explosives in Jerusalem would be the most significant attack of its kind in years. The first explosion happened in Givat Shaul, close to the main entrance to the city at around 7:05 a.m. Local time. On Wednesday, about 30 minutes later, there was a second blast in Ramot Junction, another entrance to the city. Videos from one scene showed people running and debris scattered across the street, and Israeli police said an initial investigation suggested that both blasts were caused by explosive devices placed at the scenes, and that officers suspected this was a combined terror attack. The Haaretz newspaper cited a police source as saying that both devices contained nails and were likely to have been detonated remotely. Police Commissioner Kobe Shabtai called on the public to contact the emergency services if they saw anything out of the ordinary. Outgoing Prime Minister Yair Lapid was convening a special meeting with the country's security chiefs, Israeli media reported. And it comes as Prime Minister-designate Benjamin Netanyahu and his Likud party continue negotiations to form a new coalition government with allied far-right and religious parties. They won a majority in parliament in this month's general election. Ultra-nationalist Otzma Yehudit party leader Itamar Ben-Gvir, who is set to become internal security minister and oversee the police force, visited the scene of the first explosion and declared that Israel had to take action to deter Palestinian attacks. The U.S. Embassy in Israel tweeted that it condemned in strongest possible terms today's terrorist attacks on public locations in Jerusalem and offers sincere condolences to the victims and their loved ones. Terrorism is a dead end that accomplishes absolutely nothing, it added, and the UK ambassador to Israel said he was shocked by the terrorist attacks. So there it is, guys. That's the top 3 news around the world right now. A lot of things to pray for with this chaos that's happening all around the world. So let's move into some sporting news. And today's news is all about, basically all about the World Cup, right? So another upset alert as Saudi Arabia defeats Argentina just the other day. And another big alert, Germany stunned by Japan comeback in latest World Cup shock. After Saudi Arabia's win over Argentina, Qatar 2022 saw not just another upset, but another come-from-behind upset with the supposed minnow upending the heavy favorite. Germany went ahead in the first half on Wednesday via an Ilkay Gundogan penalty, but substitutes Ritsu Doan and Takuma Asano struck in the last 15 minutes to turn the tie on its head. Japan's 2-1 victory underscores just how shaky this German side have become, particularly when they appear in control. In other games, Morocco ties Croatia 0-0. Spain just obliterates Costa Rica 7-0. And a big sad one for me as Belgium defeats Canada 1-0. But Belgium, of course, is one of the top 10 teams in the world. And Canada is not up there, but Canada showed they belonged at the World Cup despite the loss to Belgium. So it was okay. It should have been different because Alphonso Davies, which is our best player, he missed a 10th minute penalty, right? So he missed a penalty kick, right? So that's something that was pretty bad. And Canada had so many chances. They had 21 shots to Belgium's 9, right? And Canada led for I was watching it. Canada did a really, really good job, and they should have had 2 more penalty kicks through VAR, but they only got 1. I'm not sure why, but those are the scores of what's happened over the last couple of days. Also, with Germany players. German players cover their mouths in team photo amid One Love armband row. So German players placed their hands over their mouths during a team photo ahead of their World Cup Group E game against Japan on Wednesday as the row over FIFA's threat of sanctions over the One Love armband continued. All German players took part in the gesture in front of dozens of photographers on the pitch ahead of kickoff after World Football Body FIFA had threatened 7 European teams with sanctions if they wore the armband symbolizing diversity and tolerance. A statement from the German Football Association said, "We wanted to use our captain's armband to take a stand for values that we hold in the Germany national team, diversity and mutual respect. Together with other nations, we wanted our voice to be heard. And it wasn't about making a political statement. Human rights are non-negotiable, and that should be taken that should be taken for granted, but it still isn't the case. That's why this message is so important to us. Denying us the armband is the same as denying us a voice. We stand by our position. And Qatar is, known for human rights violations. Same-sex relations are illegal in Qatar, and also the treatment of migrant workers in Qatar is also another big controversy that was over there. And that's why they were all trying to wear these armbands about one love. However, FIFA said that if they did wear it, then they would get an automatic yellow card. So this is why people are very, very upset and angry about it right now. So there it is, guys. That is the news for sports and the top 3 news around the world. Hope it's something that helps you guys out when it comes to praying for all the things that are happening. But you know what that means. It is the golden time. And yes, it is the golden time, a time of praise and worship to the Holy Trinity. Hope all of you guys are looking forward to giving glory to God and the Holy Spirit. So, what are we going to praise and worship today? We're going to start off with Eternally Thankful, and then Tremendous Grace, and we'll end things off with Jehovah God. So, as one body of the Morning Star Drive, let's spend this time giving praise, honor, and glory to the Holy Trinity.
Above, I truly see you're always close to me, leading me with inspiration, and you intervene for me. I know I'm safe within your hands. You protected me from death. Now you are the reason that I live my life. Thank you eternally. Thank you for of forgiveness surely brought me back to life. Evermore, you've set me free from eternal suffering. I am truly thankful for the love you've shown. Thank you eternally. Thank you for everything. Oh my Lord, you saved my spirit and my soul. Now singing joyfully, I'll praise you gloriously, 'cause I'm truly thankful for your love, oh God, He who exists before all things and for eternity, Jehovah, mighty God. His majesty, His glory completely fill the cosmos. His love and His great power completely fill the whole world. I will dwell within Him alone, and I know He dwells within me. He leads me with the true word of life. Jehovah, mighty God, eternal, mighty God, creator, mighty God, God of the perfect word. He is our mighty God. Creator of the earth and sky, He who made everything, Jehovah, mighty God, He who exists before all things and for eternity, Jehovah, mighty God, His majesty, His glory completely fill the cosmos. His love and His great power completely fill the whole world. I will dwell within Him alone, and I know He dwells within me. He leads me with the true word of life. Giving all my heart, I've lived according to His word. Giving all my life, I've lived according to His word. Look at all He's done in my life, His infinite power. There is nothing in the world my God can't do. He displays His mighty power through the world. Jehovah, mighty God, eternal, mighty God, creator, mighty God, God of the perfect word. He is our mighty God. Jehovah, mighty God, eternal, mighty God, creator, mighty God, God of the perfect word. He is our mighty God.
And that was Jehovah God. And before that, Tremendous Grace is one of my favorite songs right now, Tremendous Grace. And of course, Eternally Thankful. So I hope that all of you really enjoyed this time of praise and worship. And it really prepares your heart and makes you ready to listen to the next section, which is always the word study. And what an amazing and awesome Wednesday message it was. I am so happy just to see it. That message was from was it like 2005? And when I heard that message, I was like, wow, how powerful. Like when something speaks, it's powerful. You make miracles happen with faith or the miracle of faith. And I thought it was so powerful, just the way that he spoke, like how important your faith is. And when I listened to it, I was like, man, it made me want to have better faith. I'm not sure about you guys. Comment below what you guys felt when you heard something speaking. It was powerful, right? You got to believe. The only way that you're going to have something get done is you need to believe it, and then you'll take action. If you don't believe in it, then you're not going to do it. And this is why, like, we have to understand this is why people are successful and not successful is their faith in something, right? So if you believe, you're going to do it. If you don't believe, you're not going to even start it. And this is why we have to be those that live by faith when it comes to the words of God. When it comes to this history of God, we have to be those that live by faith. And faith is such an interesting concept for me because when Susie talks about Hebrews chapter 11, it's like, what is faith? Faith is like the hope, is knowing, right? Like even without like evidence. It's something that you believe in. It's something that you hope for, right? Hebrews chapter 11, verse 1 says, faith is confidence in what we hope for and assurance about what we do not see, right? It is confidence in what we hope for and assurance in what we do not see. And this is why faith itself is commendable. Right? A lot of people might think, oh, well, when something says, oh, you're doing well because you're here, you're still here. And we think to ourselves like, oh, well, is that really a big thing? And the answer is, it's huge. Faith is such a powerful thing that it's the first step, right, for your salvation is to believe in God, to have faith, to believe in something you cannot see, that you don't have 100%, right? And when you think about this, it's like, oh, that makes sense. We have to understand how powerful it is just to have faith, just to believe in God. And that's why Sunseem says, like, it is such a huge thing to just believe in God that Sunseem said that if you were to put it into real life terms, it's like having life-changing money. Like if you just believe in God, Sunseem said it's the same as like putting like $150,000 into your bank account. Of course, Sunseem said that maybe like 10 years ago, so I'm sure inflation has brought it up to like 250, 300,000, right? I'm sure inflation's in there, right? But imagine that. Just having that faith is so big, it's like putting how many years' salary into your bank account right off the top. Like how many people make $200,000? How many people make $300,000 a year? Most people are making anywhere from what, $40,000 to $60,000 a year. And other countries are probably making less, like $20,000 or $30,000. But imagine that. If you're in a poor country, you're making $20,000 a year, you're putting 10 years salary into your bank account. That's how big faith is, right? Faith is so huge that if you go to America, you're making like what, 40, 50,000? Then you're taking like 4 or 5 years of salary and you're putting it into your bank account right away. And that's how big faith itself is. We don't realize how big faith is. But when you understand like, wow, this is something that God holds really, really commendable. And how big is it? Well, the scripture analysis, when we went to the story of the son that there's a son that keeps falling into fire and water. And then first, the interesting thing is, Jesus first rebukes the man for having no faith, right? So he's like, what's wrong with you? If you had faith, it's not just my disciples, it's you too. The problem is also the man doesn't even have faith so his son cannot be healed. So when we look at this, it's like we think to ourselves, sometimes when we look at this scripture, we're thinking like, wow, how come the disciples couldn't do it? But the first thing Jesus said was what? You don't have faith. That's the problem. That's why things aren't happening, is because you yourself, the biggest problem we have right now, you're blaming the disciples. But what the first thing Jesus says is, it's you. You don't have enough faith. You can fix things with faith. Once you have, like, the part that really struck me, because it's so relevant to today, is if you had faith, you could solve this problem on your own. And then Jesus says, how long will I be with this generation? What's he saying? He's saying, think about it. If you have faith, you can do it on your own. But since you don't, I have to fix it for you. But I'm not going to be with you forever. I'm not. Look how that, doesn't that like strike you like that's what's happening right now today? That if we can't have faith, then what? Are we going to always be relying on the person God sends? And if we keep relying on him, what happens when he leaves? Then we can't solve any of our problems. We need faith first. Then we can solve problems on our own. Yeah, we think to ourselves, like, only with God, God has to do all these things. But then if we think to ourselves, like, oh, the man of mission has to be here and or else nothing can be solved, then what's going to happen when he leaves? We're stuck. Jesus said that once he leaves the world, he cannot do anything for them anymore. And that's why you have to have faith. You have to have faith. And that's talking to us right now. Are we having faith only because the man of mission is alive? Is that the only reason? And then we're going to put everything onto him? Oh, there'll be no war because he's praying for it. Oh, there's going to be no this because he is praying. Are we putting all of the responsibility, all the onus is on the man of mission? But he's saying, no, you have to have faith and you can start fixing things on your own. Why do you have to wait for the man of mission to heal when people like Paul were healing? People like Peter were healing. They were all healing. They had the faith. When Jesus left, they were doing the work that Jesus was doing. They're continuing the work. And then Jesus goes and casts out that demon. He's like, what is, the disciples couldn't heal because they didn't have enough faith, right? And we're looking at that like going, wow, they didn't have enough, but what do you mean they don't have enough faith? And he's like going, the faith that we have right now, the disciples, because it feels like the message is coming directly to us. Your faith is too small. You're doing small things. The things that you're doing is too small. I was at a burger joint yesterday, and there was a quote by Muhammad Ali, and he says, "If your dreams don't scare you, you're not dreaming big enough." So where is our faith? What are the dreams that we have? What are we thinking about? That's the thing. Because if we do small things, we'll just keep doing it that way. Just keep doing it that way over and over and over again. You keep doing it your own way, but what God is saying to us right now is you got to do bigger things. You need a big heart, big thoughts, big actions. Think big, just like Wolmyongdong, right? Everything was done with big rocks, right? Big trees. They weren't like these small trees that were planted to start from the beginning. No, they were huge trees being transplanted in. It was with big thoughts. When we read the words of God, when we listen to the words every Sunday and Wednesday, doesn't it give you a big heart? Like after listening to that Wednesday message, like, man, I got to have faith. Gosh, I got to be able to heal. Gosh, I got to be able to cast out Satans and demons. If we start really understanding and knowing how great God is, this God that we believe in, we should be doing bigger things. We should be thinking. We should be taking action. We should be becoming bigger all the time. We can do big things together with God when we do big things. Big things, right? What is the biggest thing that's happening right now? So he was like, you know what the biggest thing right now is? It's the history of God. That's what we're making. He's leading the history of God. That is huge, right? It is gigantic. It's something that's so far beyond like any of us here think about, oh, let's lead the history of God. None of us think that way. The disciples were thinking too small. The disciples were doing such small things. They didn't have that faith to believe just to even take a demon out of a boy's body. And it wasn't just the disciples. What did Jesus say? Yeah, and guess what? People didn't have enough faith either. And that's why Jesus rebuked the people and called them a perverse generation, right? But what about us, right? Then the disciples, remember when you read the verses, disciples are like, oh, Jesus, give us more faith. But you know what Jesus said? Jesus is like, guess what, guys? You don't even need a lot. You just need faith as small as a mustard seed. That's it. Just as small as a mustard seed. It was the smallest seed in Israel at that time. And if you have faith just that small, right? Then you could tell mountains to move from here to there, which is the perfect parable, something immovable, something we thought that could never happen. But you can with faith. With faith, nothing is impossible. With faith, if we believe, if we have faith, we're going to take action and things will get done. Faith causes miracles to happen, right? And I like this here, right? It says, faith is the bottom of a cup. if the bottom falls out, then you can't do anything with the cup. It's worthless, right? It's that bottom part. It's the foundational part. Whatever you believe can be fulfilled. So if you have zero faith, what happens? If you have zero faith, there's no bottom to the cup and everything just falls through. Nothing's going to happen. However, even if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, even having just a thin layer of plastic right there, what's going to happen? You can fill the cup. And Sanjeev said, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, wherever you go, miracles and signs will happen. History is going to happen. When you believe, miracles come. When you believe, when you have faith, happiness comes. And this is why we have to believe it first. And I think a lot of us, especially during the down times of the pandemic, going through job loss, going through depression, going through all these crazy things over the last 3 years, a lot of us have kind of wavered in our faith. We've lost that mustard seed sized faith that we don't even take action anymore. We believe nothing's going to happen. We believe evangelism is impossible. We believe, what's the point of lecturing? We believe, what's the point of running for this church? And then there's no faith, and which means no action, which means nothing happens. Sanjeev said, even negative people take action, they will get things done, even if they're negative. Even if you're negative, you'll get something done if you take action. So what do we need to do? 2 things, the double strand. Number 1, set the condition of faith. Number 2, then set the condition of action. Those are 2 things that absolutely matter. Faith and action must become one and then you'll get what you want. Absolute faith requires absolute action, right? Now, here's this one part that Sanjeev talked about. I was like going, oh, it's so true. Sometimes we have absolute faith. We're like, oh, absolute faith. Oh, I believe. And then when difficulties come along, then we start to doubt, and then we start to quit. They become suspicious and doubtful, contradictions, and then we end up not doing what we should do. We need to be those who analyze why we have to believe to keep wanting to do something, right? We have to analyze it. Why do I have to believe? Because if you stop believing, you stop doing it. If you believe, you pursue. If you believe, you have hope. If you believe, right, then, one thing that Sanjeev talked about is if you keep pursuing, then you can catch your mate. You can have a mate. If you think it's too difficult, you're going to quit and give up. Those who have faith and who are willing, that's what we need. God gives them strength. God makes them strong. God gives them the mind. That's how we have to understand this. We need to believe. Believe what? Believe God's going to bless you. Believe God's going to treat you well. Do you want to solve difficult problems? Right? Believe. Do you want to get out of this mess, this problem that you're having right now? Believe. Right? Are you sick? Do you have disease? You've got to believe. And I loved that parallel when Sanjeev was like, yeah, guess what? If you don't believe, you're going to become like that child, that son that always falls into the fire and the water, right? It's the people that are always shaken, right? By the winds, the rain, the fire, and the water. The people who fall into fire and water, just like that possessed boy, they're possessed because of a demon. And in the same way, too, it means we're being influenced and like we're being taken by demons, right? If you think about that. Who's the one trying to make us doubt? Who's the one that's trying to make us shake in our faith? It's the demons. They don't want us to believe anymore. So when the difficulties come, you can't succumb to what these Satans and demons want. We have to get up. This is the time. Stop falling in the water. Stop going into the fire. Stop doing things against conscience. Stop sinning. Stop getting to old habits. We're falling all the time. Maybe not like the fall, like physically the fall, but we're falling into the fire. Right? We're falling into the water in terms of our faith, in terms of our faith, and sometimes physically too. Yeah, people are going to commit the fall. Fire and water is falling into extreme situations, right? And we need to be those that realize, hey, when people say, I want to drink, I want to do drugs, I want to, go out with girls or guys, whatever it is, because I want to have freedom, people don't realize what it means that the only freedom is in the domain of God. People don't realize what that means. Because when you start to do the things that you think that make you free, like drinking and drugs and all these things, no, you become a slave to those things. Making money, you become a slave to money. That the only thing you think about is money, and the only thing you care about is the money that you make, and your life is just revolved around money. It's revolved around drinking. And guess what? It causes more problems. Is that real freedom, really? Is that real freedom, just to do what you want? No. Freedom is to do the right thing. As weird as that sounds, right? To follow the rules so that you'll be blessed. So that, more importantly, you're going to be happy, you're going to be joyful, and you're going to have a meaningful life. That even when the difficulties come, it's meaningful, and you want to be there. If you don't have faith, guess who's coming? The ghosts, Satans, demons, evil spirits, they come. And that's why we need to change. Right? That's why we need to believe. Right? As long as you believe, things become easier. Right? But if you don't believe, you don't realize how difficult life actually gets. And Sunsteep said, you know what? I don't even need, like, this is something that Sunsteep says, I realize this. If you don't believe that things are difficult, and if you believe that things are easy, I realize this from running Providence so far. And that's 2005, which still means what? You know, that was like 40 years of like, for him, he's been having faith for 40 years. I like this one point. He says, even if you don't have faith as big as a mountain, all you need is a mustard seed. As long as that faith is alive. And what's the example? Some people might be doubting, having all these things in their mind, but at least they keep coming to church. They still have faith. They still wake up for pre-dawn. Even though they're struggling, they're still waking up. That's the mustard seed-sized faith that can still move mountains. The only reason things don't work out at all is because you don't believe at all. It was such a powerful message. It was refreshing to get back to the spiritual faith. You need the faith. The faith is everything. Everything comes back. Even if you have just a little bit of that feeling, you can find and get things done. If you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can move mountains. And what does that mean? Obviously, we learned this in the parables lecture. It's about moving people to different domains, which is the most important things. Moving people from the former times to the new times. Moving people from the domain of death to the domain of life. That's what we're here. We got to set the condition of faith. Do everything with faith. And that's something we got to train every day. We got to train it. Right? Just like, you know, when Sunsteep talked about how the brain works, we remember the bad things more than the good things, right? But then he says, guess what? Righteous people remember the good things. Righteous people are trained. Righteous people are made. Righteous people are not just, you know, they weren't born with seeing like only the good things. The righteous people, they've been like that all their life. Like they've been training like that all their life to see the good things in the bad situations. Right? Righteous people remember the good things. What do you remember, guys? What do you remember? The reason Sunsteep's the way he is because he had faith. What type of faith? His faith was God was always with him. His faith is that because God is with me, this history will cover the entire world. That the entire world will be given the gospel. That's faith. That's why he's come this far. That's how great it is. Set the condition of faith. If you believe, you will receive. Right? If you believe, then everything you hope for will come true. If you believe, if you have faith, right? Then that is, you don't need evidence. You know, you believe, you have faith that you're going to receive it. It might not be tomorrow, it might not even be next week, but you're going to get it when you're ready. It's going to happen. Joshua conquered Canaan because he had absolute faith that he would win with God. And this is why he took the land back from Satan, right? He took Canaan. Have faith. Don't fall in the fire and the water. Don't shake. Don't doubt. We have to believe. With faith, think about this. We mean Warmington with faith. Think about the Mission Masterpiece, which is ridiculous. It crumbled 5 times. Don't you think you'd give up after the 3rd or 4th time? We got to believe. Right? We got to believe. And this is when the sick are healed. This is when the demons are cast out. We all have to rise up in faith right now, and we have to have the faith that solves problems. We have to have the faith that when we believe, it's going to work out. If there's no faith, right? If you have faith, then there's no worries and no concerns. There's not that suffering and pain, right? But if you don't have faith, that's when the worries come. That's when the concerns come. That's when the suffering comes, and that's when the pain comes too. It's about faith, and we got to have that. That faith has to be so absolutely singed into your brain that this is going to work, that it's going to be God's will, that we're going to have a bigger thinking, bigger actions. We have to start thinking in a bigger way, right? And it doesn't mean that everyone's going to preach to 10 million people. It doesn't mean that, but you got to think bigger than you're thinking right now. Because if people were all thinking a lot bigger, then the churches would all be different now. Your faith, the way that you handle your faith would be different. The way you handle temptations would be different. So I hope that we can make miracles happen with faith. Let this be the time, right? And honestly, one of the crazy parts is this is actually the message that I received. I remember this message. Why? Because in 2005 is when, after listening to this message, I preached this message, and then I went out and healed someone of demon possession because of this message. It gave me so much fire to do it. So I hope that all of us here can make the miracle of faith happen. All right? So there it is, guys. That is the end of the word study. Hope you guys really enjoyed that, and hope it's something that really just stirs your faith to another level. But we're going to get into the last song for today on this Musical Friday. Well, it's not really musicals anymore, but we're going to play songs from movies, like iconic songs from movies. And all I want you to do is comment. Comment where this movie comes from. And for this one, too, I'm going to tell you this. I'll see how many people can actually do this without looking up in the internet. When you hear this song, in the comments, tell me the song and tell me three actors in the movie. All right? So everyone, please welcome, everyone tell me in the comments, what movie was this song from?
If I should stay, I would only be in your way, so I'll go. But I know I'll think of you every step of the way. And I will always love you. Bittersweet memories, that is all I'm taking with me. So goodbye, please don't cry. We both know I'm not what you need. of all you dreamed of. And I wish you joy and happiness. But above all this, I wish you love. And I will always love you. I will always love you. I will always love you. Darling, I love you. I'll always love
And what an iconic song. I'm sure everyone knows this song and who the singer is, but I don't know how many people will know the movie and 3 actors from the movie without looking up on Google, all right? So there it is, guys. That is the song of choice for today. Hope you guys really enjoyed that. Leave a comment below if you know the movie and 3 actors from that movie. Which leads us into the final section for today, which is not only for today, for the entire week. Of course, we're looking forward to listening to Let's Testify with Tuli from Australia. Today, she'll be focusing on positivity and the effects of comparing yourself to others, all right? So everyone, please welcome Tuli from Australia with Let's Testify.
G'day fellas, this is Tuli and this is the next episode of Let's Testify. Whether you've just started listening to us today or you've been with us for a while, welcome. This is a great platform for us to share with each other across the world. We can share our experiences and share our testimonies. We can share grace. So for the past 6 weeks or so, we've actually focused on positivity. And I pray that today's testimonies add to your own personal stash of ways to keep positive and to assist people near you to do so too. For this week's segment, I gathered message snippets, I chatted with my mum, and I also recalled testimonies of my own. And about what? Well, about comparing ourselves with others. And I realized very clearly how comparison with others really demolishes. It does a great job of demolishing positivity in the brain. Have you experienced this before? And yeah, what have your experiences with comparing yourselves to others been like? And if you've done that, what helped you to develop a better way of thinking about yourself and others as well? So a little bit for myself, when I lived comparing myself to others, my mood swung up and down a lot. So I would swing upward if I had more skill or more skill than others in some area. But when I felt that I had less skill than others in some other area or less value than others in some area, my mood would swing way down. So I'd swing back and forth, and it was a very unstable way of living. And I eventually got totally sick of it. So what helped me out? It was definitely the word. Repeating the word to myself, really repeating it and listening to it many times, especially the parts which applied to that habit of comparison. So the word gives the true center of our value. Yeah, our value, the value of one individual, it isn't something that we can even discover in this physical world. It doesn't exist. We can't find it because everything in this world finishes. Our body ends up being in the ground. So where is it that our true value lies? If we compare with anyone around us, we're just comparing with, our mentality or our, physical skills or the way we look. But that's no way to try to find your own value. You have to look into the spiritual, eternal realm. So your true value, my true value, is anchored in the fact that I have an eternal spirit that's going to live with God forever. That's the way that I can find how valuable I am, and that God has created me with an individuality that cannot be compared with anybody else. And that, even though it seemed like such a distant reality for me, when I kept listening to it and trying to see my own value while praying, God helped me to see it a little bit at a time, really calling to the Holy Spirit, Holy Spirit, please help me to see my value. A little bit at a time, I started to value myself rather than making my value go up and down according to what others were doing or how others were. So if you base your existence on this world, it doesn't matter, what riches you amass or what reputation you build up, what satisfaction you have in your work. In the end, it all just gets buried in your grave. And there's that amazing verse in Ecclesiastes that says, we're born naked and we leave this life naked too. No one can take anything with them. So you might remember that song that Sonsenim wrote. I'd say it was a good maybe 10 years ago now, or maybe not that far back, but it was one called Raise Your Level, and I really love that melody and I love those lyrics. They're so uplifting in a spiritual way, beyond what this world can tell you your value is. And the words say, this world is limited. It said, this world is limited, but heaven is free. It's a world free of bounds. It's limitless. See how your body is limited, yet your spirit soars limitlessly. So we're counterparts of God, Spirit, and Son. We're one with them only through love. Righteousness will be our light and our beauty. We soar up high every day. Let nothing hold you down. So these lyrics are just so full of our eternal value that we can develop ourselves eternally. Also in the SS service, recently, Pastor John was delivering the message, and she said to the SS that everyone has a different growth rate. And this is also true in nature too. If you think how long particular flowers take to bloom. I remember when I lived in Sydney, there's a particular flower that when you plant the plant, it takes 7 years to bloom, but when it blooms, the flower is as big as your face, and it's the most intricate, beautiful flower I have ever seen before, and the fragrance of it is so beautiful. Whereas other flowers may flower 3 times a year, or once a year, or once every 3 years, yet every single flower has its own beauty. So we shouldn't compare ourselves to other people. Yeah, so I thought I'd share those few thoughts about comparison because it does seem to be a habit that many people have. And lastly, I did feel many times when I tried to change a big habit like comparison in my brain, that it seemed like I was never getting anywhere. It could be that a whole year passed by and I'm still comparing myself to others, even though I became aware of that habit. But I still felt, even though I put in so much effort to stop the habit, I was still doing it, and I felt downcast many times because of that. But having overcome that to a large degree now, I feel like when I look back, yes, what we do in our daily life just seems like a little drop of water in a bucket. But when you keep adding those little drops of water in a bucket, when 10 days pass, a year passes, 2 years pass, 10 years pass by, that bucket absolutely fills up with that condition that you've set of listening to the word and changing your thoughts according to the word. And one day the bucket even overflows. You can even end up filling another person's bucket. So should we ever give up? Absolutely not. What if you don't see any change at all? I just kept going. Just keep going. Just keep going. And also, if you tend to think very negatively about yourself, just try to be still sometimes and ask the Holy Spirit for you to be able to see the change in yourself. even if it's only 1 centimeter, well, 1 centimeter is on the way to becoming 2 centimeters. 2 centimeters turns into 5, 5 turns into 15. We keep adding those centimeters of change. I'd like to finish with one thing that my mum said to me today about comparison. She said, if you continue comparing yourself with others, it's like saying to God, I don't like who you've made me to be. And God has not made mistakes in the way that he's made us. So instead of comparing ourselves, what should we do? We need to be thankful for how God made us, and God will start to show us how he has made you to, how he's made us to be, what individuality he's given us. So I thought this is a great thing for everyone to remember. So I hope this will help you a little with your own thought habits. And if you've never struggled with comparison before, well, hallelujah. I hope some of this testimony today will help you to share with others who have had this problem or who have this problem right now. So I'm so glad we could share today. And if you've got any comments you'd like to make, please email me with the email in the description below, or just leave a comment below and I'll get back to you that way. Have a great weekend, fellas, and peace.
And thank you so much, Tuli, for another wonderful segment of Let's Testify. And I really, really enjoy these segments on positivity. And I think it really encourages people. And I hope that if you guys are out there encouraged by her segment, go ahead and leave a comment below for her. She's doing an amazing job, and she's putting in a lot of effort for this too, all right? So that means that that is the end of today's podcast and the entire week. Hope you guys really, really enjoyed this podcast just like me. We're already deep into it. We're on the 704th episode. Everyone have an amazing and awesome weekend, and we'll see you guys again on Monday on the Morning Star Drive on 117.8.
It's the Morning Star Drive 117.8. You soaring up with sky, now's the time, don't delay. I'm sitting in my ride and it's time to fly. So let's realign, just listen and fill your mind.
I'm burning with desire and the passion. Nobody can stop me